I'm Michelle.
And I'm Sandy. We're the hosts of Wine Spies podcast and now a YouTube channel.
That's right. And the topic of this video today is the Ordaz family wines, which we just did a great podcast episode. It'll be airing on Thursday.
It's already aired. It's coming up. It's here. It's here. It's already aired
live,
Thursday, and it's episode 27. Yeah.
Yes. And industry buzzwords that are kind of hot topics right now.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of different buzzwords.
And really the idea, organic, sustainable,
biodynamic, vegan,
natural wines.
What do all those mean? So stay tuned, listen up, because you're going to hear about a couple great wines, and then we'll talk a little bit more about those topics.
What these things
what we need you to do right now is to hit the thumbs up, and like this video, put in a comment, tell us what we can do to provide you with more good content. Pop over to the podcast, give us a 5-star review over at iTunes. We'd really appreciate it.
We would. And like and follow us on Instagram as well. We put some live content on there and have
at Wine Spies podcast.
That's right. So, Sandy, you want to go ahead and start with the Ordaz Rosé?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
So we have the Ordaz family Rosé, and Epifanio, or Epi, is the winemaker, and again, he's featured on our current episode of Wine Spies, and he was super generous and sent us a whole bunch of wine, and it's really good.
It is good wine.
So, but we did not, we only have space in the podcast for so many wines, so we said, well, we're going to share these on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing. And this is his rosé, and the really cool thing about, Epifanio's father is an immigrant from Mexico, and he came over and started working the vines pretty much as soon as he got here
back in the 1970s, yes.
Early mid-70s, and has been working these vines for about 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, almost 50 years. I'm a mid-70s girl, too. Early to mid-70s. It has been written, is one of, is closest to these grapes and knows
He's
these
the steward of the vines.
More than pretty much anybody in California. The particular grapes that he has grown and helped foster for the last
He's been in a lot of different vineyards, and Epi is very proud that these wines are single vineyard. He is very much into caring for the terroir, representing the flavor that you get from
the essence of California grapes,
and from that specific vineyard.
Mm-hmm, right.
So this vineyard that the rosé is from it's on the front. I thought it was. No, it's not. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and this is a blend. It's a rosé, 50% Grenache and 50% Mourvedre, and we know we like that.
Yes, Grenache and Mourvedre are one of my favorites. So you want to smell. The color is absolutely lovely.
Beautiful.
So it's so different.
It almost matches my shirt.
It does, and it's so different showing people on YouTube versus the podcast.
I know,
usually we're having to describe the colors, but look.
This is what it looks
like. Oh, goodness. It smells lovely, though. Mm-hmm. Cherries, watermelon.
I went ahead and tasted it. It's very nice.
Clean, crisp. Mm-hmm. It's got a little fizz to it. I like that.
The acidity has a high level of acidity.
It does. I enjoy the high level of acidity.
Highly acidic. Mm-hmm. So do we want to go ahead and talk a little bit about all those wine buzzwords we just mentioned?
Yes. The first one, and the reason why we started thinking about these buzzwords is because Epi believes in farming organically. So in the episode, we said, okay, what exactly do you mean by organic? What makes your vineyards organic? And he talked about the pesticides and being able to train vines in a specific way to use the least amount.
There's much more to it than you would think than just don't spray chemicals, which is what I thought.
Right. And so he goes into that in the episode. Well, during that same episode, I said, well, what about biodynamic? Because I was trying to find out about these buzzwords. And he was like, yeah, not so much biodynamic.
Well, in fact, he has an interesting opinion about biodynamic that you'll have to listen to the episode to hear. But basically, those are distinct. So when you hear organic, when you hear biodynamic, when you hear sustainable, when you hear natural, and when you hear vegan,
they are 5 separate things.
They're not the same.
They are not the same, and some of them have even certifications. You have certification to be organic. You have certification to be sustainable. So sustainable is even an overarching for the entire winery. It means that you are able to sustain your electrical power. How are you going to get that? Maybe it's from a natural resource. Maybe your water is also all rain collected. Your finances, you have to be able to keep your workers working. You cannot have a defunct, management.
You have to make sure that you have all of your resources are captured in terms of how you're going to keep
everything
going.
It means what it says.
Right. So you can't have a sustainable practice and then not be able to pay your workers, because obviously then it's not sustainable.
Right.
So when you get that sustainable designation, you have ensured
So those two things are separate, organic and sustainable. Then biodynamic is where it talks about the moon phases and when you should plant certain things. So it's a little bit
It's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. Then you have vegan wines that I was like,
I just wish you think it's grape juice.
Yeah,
it's grapes.
grape juice.
So isn't it vegan? And you would think so, but there are additives in wines.
And the 2 particular additives that would make it not vegan. Some winemakers,
not all,
not epi for sure, not epi, put fish scales and eggshells into their water or into their wine to make it.
Well, in the
barrel, in the
process,
process,
and some of it is to bring out that flavor, that characteristic,
or add roundness to
right.
wine. So it helps enhance. And some people.
Some winemakers don't.
Some winemakers do, some don't. Not saying it's bad or good, but if you're a vegan, you want to know.
You want to be able to, yes. And so you can't just go and grab a
right.
bottle of wine and think, oh, it's fine.
It's fine,
it's
right?
Grapes.
So that is something
to be
aware of.
of.
And that's for people with that vegan, I guess interest and what is it? Vegan diet.
Right. Now, what about natural wines?
Natural wines are even more different
because you would think it's all natural, right?
Yeah, it's not. That includes the let's say this thing called mega purple that is sometimes added.
Another additive. So
there's additives and the way you filter things, and if you and even sugar. Even if you add sugar to it, that's then knocked out of the natural category.
Right, because grapes are naturally they have natural sweetness, and if you want to monkey with that natural sweetness by adding
or fermentation, you kind of do that too. So you can manipulate
the fermentation process. I mean, it's just. I do think that there's a difference between adding and then having it be what is there. And so natural wines are no additives. Is that?
I think so.
We're still learning.
That's what I've heard.
But that's right.
So those are our 5 buzzwords: organic, biodynamic, sustainable, natural, and vegan. So they are not all the same. Mm-mm. They are very different.
If you found one that was all of those things, that's a pretty.
That would be one expensive bottle of wine.
It would be a very expensive bottle of wine, but it would also be a very dedicated winemaker because there's so much. Just in one of those elements, if you had all of those boxes checked off, that would be a lot of work.
That would be a lot.
So if you're doing that, good job. And send us a bottle so we can check it out and let it be.
That would be very interesting. I would be very interested.
Well, that'll be important to research and see
I don't know who's doing all 5, or if anybody desires to do all 5.
I wouldn't. I would be exhausted because you'd be laying there all the time thinking I'm missing something and I got to do so. I mean, it seems like it would take away from the joy of it. But anyway, that's that. So that is our take on the current hot topic buzzwords that are going on around there, and.
Our high-level overview.
Yes. There's definitely more reading there to be done. And so you want to try that?
Yeah, let's try.
Epi was very excited about his cab. He was very proud of his cab.
I just was so thrilled to be able to taste it.
And when we did the episode, we did a Zinfandel, a Pinot Noir, and the Chardonnay. And we did that mainly because we featured a lot of Cabernets on the show, and we wanted to feature something different. So we wanted to definitely feature Epi's Cab in this way, so that we're sharing it with
We wanted it to be highlighted.
That's right. So cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh,
It smells really blackberry.
That he got very excited talking about the berry flavor in it. He was very, very proud of it.
You can almost taste it just even smelling
it. Jumps right out of the glass at you.
It has tannins, but not overly.
Oh, that's nice.
That's very nice. Oh,
It's
thank
not,
you, Epi.
Yes, thank you, Epi. What we really enjoyed
This is good.
about, well, I don't want to give it away. So if you want to know what we really enjoyed about Epi's wines, check out that podcast. But we can tell you about these two, which is this is a nice, it's not overly heavy for a cab.
No,
Sometimes
it's not.
They'll be very heavy.
I can even drink this cab in the summer.
This would be a good summer cab.
Sometimes I cannot drink Cabernets in the summer. This is light but full of flavor. The finish, I just drank some and it's still there.
It lingers with the flavors consistent throughout. So you really get a real good sense of that whole flavor. And I think that's
And it's not
single
jammy.
vineyard. It's not jammy at all.
Mm-mm.
But that single vineyard characteristic is not jumping all around.
And it has mineral layer to
Mhm.
it.
That
It's
sense of
really,
the-
really nice.
You can get the sense of where it's grown, I think, nicely.
And I think, where's this one from?
I remember from the
And what
episode he told us it was
vintage is
something Moon Mountain District.
Oh, very
It's
good.
the Monticello Vineyard, and it's the Moon Mountain. I remember him talking about this because the Moon Mountain rocks were red, and it added to the red.
That's right.
It adds to the redness of the wine naturally. So there's no need to add some red dye, say, to
No.
this.
And it's a 2016, and that does, because it does have some ruby color in there, which is generally for like a Pinot Noir.
It's
But
a
it's
beautiful
still-
color.
the
I
color
love this
is
color.
gorgeous.
Like, I think I would want a ring in this
I
color.
know you can see it.
And if I could have a ring right there that was that color, I'd be pretty happy with that. All right, so usually we do rate these on the podcast and on the YouTube. So do we want to go ahead and do that?
Sure, let's go ahead.
I have to go backwards.
This is going to be shocking to you.
Is it gonna be? Are you gonna give it?
I have now found two rosés that I would
really
say
like.
I would buy again. Usually I'll drink the glass and they're good, but I would never really necessarily go back and buy it.
Mm-hmm. It's like her standard rosé. It's just polite. Finish the glass.
I'll finish the glass. This one I will go buy. I will buy this again.
So we had 2 in the last week.
2 in the last week.
So we're getting there.
good.
We're teaching you, or
But don't forget, it's our palate.
Mhm.
This is, you may hate it,
You may.
or you may even love it more than I do. I'm giving it a 4 quart.
I think it's a very good rosé. I think it's very much what you would expect if you were going to get a rosé. It's a good representation of the varietal. I've had a lot of rosé, so I don't know that I would go as far as a 4. I'd probably give it a 3.5 because I think it's a very, very, very good, solid rosé. There are just so many of them out there that, and I do like a lot of them, so I don't know that I would be rushing out quickly to buy another bottle, but I do like
Well,
it.
I like that it's light and crisp.
It is very light, it's very crisp.
But it has a lot of flavor at the same
does.
time.
It
So
does.
that's what pushes me over the edge.
And I think you like the Mourvedre, so I think that's something that you need
I
to...
do like the Mourvedre. Yeah.
So, and
In
this
Grenache.
one- In Grenache, yeah, the two together.
Between the
yeah.
Grenache and the Mourvedre, it's ticking the boxes.
Now, this one, I very much like. I like it because it is lighter, and it has so much flavor for being lighter.
Yes, it is exceptionally nice. I'll let you rate first.
I would give this one 3.5 to 4. I'm not going all the way to 4, I don't think, because I don't know how often I would say, oh, I want a light Cabernet Sauvignon, because when I want that, I want something heavier. But if I was wanting, or I don't like Pinot Noirs as much, so I feel like this I would have.
Oh, so you would have this instead of a Pinot.
And this would be more reliable, because sometimes I get the Pinot Noirs and I'm like, yeah, it's not hitting what I really wanted. This is hitting what I would want if I want that lighter red. So
You're torn.
I think 3.5.
And notice we're not saying that one wine is better than the other. It happens to be what are you eating it with? What is your palate for the time? What is the season? Is this something you would go back to because it was something that you want?
And if in our scale, the way our scale is if we would go back to it, it gets that 4.
Yes.
And if we would just, have another glass, or, it would be pleasant,
Yep.
then that's in that 3 to... It's edging towards the 4, but I don't know.
Because we're not talking about faults or anything. Because if it was that,
oh no,
yes, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew.
And the price point is excellent on these.
Yes, they are.
For California organic, with the history of this family, this is a very evenly priced.
Well, I'm going straight up 4. I like it. Well, see, I also like Pinot Noirs, so this is. I like it.
And you really enjoyed all of these wines.
I did. I enjoyed his Zinfandel. I enjoyed his.
They were.
I enjoyed his Pinot. I mean, he was.
The Pinot, yeah.
They were just really.
And
great.
I think he's an up and coming. So if you wanted to kind of be on that ground floor of a winemaker that maybe hasn't gotten the attention, because he's young and this is some of his first. I think 20.
It's one of his first vintages.
Right.
It's not. He hasn't been doing it very long.
No. So if you're looking to, start a collection or start a following and see how he grows, I think he'd be a good one. He's a good one to follow.
Yeah.
So anyway, that does us for today. Yeah.
It does.
We gave you a little bit of information about some wine buzzwords that are going on right now. We gave you 2 good wines that I think you should try out, check out, and they're a great price. And
that's it. That's a wrap. We hope we see you next time on Wines Defined.